There's a song called We Are Family. And on this episode of NBC Found, they explore it in many different ways. And speaking of family, we have our favorite brother and sister duo. I'm talking about Sir and the one and only Lena. Wow. What's up, y'all? Welcome to Lawrence Report. Tonight's broadcast will discuss episode 21 of NBC Found, Missing Wow a Family. And it's hard to believe that we only have one episode left, if I'm not mistaken. Man, it is literally coming down to the wire, and it seems like the stakes of this episode of the show continues to get higher and higher. Oh my god, what an episode! The season finale got me pumped already. But listen, I gotta talk to y'all about this right here. Where is that season three announcement? We need that season three renewal announcement very, very soon. Maybe they're waiting. Maybe NBC is waiting for this final episode to come through, and then that's when they're going to announce it. But either way, NBC, if y'all watching, we need that season three. Let me say it again. We need that season three. Let's get into it, y'all. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and that like button as we talk about NBC Found episode 21. Let's get right into it. Now, Gabby tricked us all. She tricked me. I knew she tricked y'all as well. We saw what happened on the previous episode whenever we thought that Lena poisoned her, right? That's not the case. Gabby actually she faked it herself in hopes that Sir will work with her to bring Lena in. And that's exactly what happened because we saw that episode last night. So kudos to Gabby. She fooled me. I know she fooled y'all. I thought she was really poisoned. But listen, she did what she had to do to get Sir in. Now, we also know that Dawn is working with this agent, right? This agent and Dawn are going to be tag teaming to get Sir in to bring in Lena. And that's what they do. They meet up at the location, right? But everything does not go as well as they hope. Sir is like, listen, this is the deal. And Don, the agent mentioned a old friend of Don's past, right? And Don basically don't want to hear that name because that name gives him, bad juju, gives him bad memory, right? Because Don was like, because this guy, I was locked in the hole for several years. So we're probably going to be getting some more of Don's backstory, maybe in the next episode or maybe in the following season, but we have to see. And now while this is happening, Gabby's like, well, y'all are kind of late because Sir's like, if you're not I think he said if you're not early, you're considered to be late or something of the nature right there, right? Don and them, they're rushing in. Lena's here. We got Lena. Lena is at the location, right? And it seems like everything is going well. But then it doesn't. Because she says that I never poisoned Gabby, right? And then that's when everything just blows up, right? Dawn, the agent, they come in. Lena has a taser. Lena came out prepared. I was not expecting that. Sir tried to escape. Don was like, no. He tried to escape in like this little cubbyhole area. Don was like, no, where do you think you're going? That is not happening, right? So I thought that it happened so quick. It happened so quick. That was fire. That was fire. The whole escape plan. It just didn't work out. But Lena did escape, right? But sir, hey man, get back in your jail cell, brother. You ain't going nowhere. Now let's talk about Margaret and Jamie. Margaret and Jamie, right? Now Margaret has to come clean. She has to come clean to the family to let them know that Jamie is home. So if Jamie is embraced by his sisters, his dad. It's such a very emotional moment. Everybody's crying, everybody's happy. Jamie is back with the family, right? There was a conversation between Margaret and the husband. Jamie spilled the beans saying that he was not ready to not live, but sleep in his bed, right? And he mentioned something of the months, right? And that's when the dad figured out, hold on, he been back all this long? And Margaret, you didn't tell me? Now listen, this is for the husband. I wouldn't have told you either. Because you remember growing up, Margaret had all the smoke for her husband. And I'm cool with her having that smoke for him. Because listen, that man was so emotionally detached from Jamie. He was willing to basically throw away the case, say his son has been missing and buried and they ain't trying to look for him. He was so emotionally withdrawn from the case, right? He didn't want nothing to do with Margaret or the Jamie situation. Period. I feel like he basically gave up on his son. So I'm not mad at Margaret at all for hiding the details, carefully trying to let the family in slowly but surely. I'm not mad at Margaret at all. I got all the smoke for the husband though, because I think a lot of it is on him. That's the reason why Margaret is the way she is now. When you're fighting something like this right here, you know what I'm saying, without a loving partner, it can be hard. You know what I'm saying? And Margaret Hart is unfortunately a little bit hardened towards her husband, and I completely get it, right? But then, unfortunately, while Jamie is back, the one thing I did love about this episode too, Jamie actually did end up seeing his father, right? And his sister. They saw them playing at a soccer park. And Jamie could have approached him, but he didn't, right? But what Jamie did do, there was another uh weird person who's going to abduct a child, right? But Jamie stopped it, right? We saw the man in the black. Jamie stopped it. Jamie was a hero. I'm so proud of Jamie for doing that right there. But the reunion between Jamie and the family is not going to go well because we know at the end, unfortunately, Jamie is somehow captured by Lena, right? Jamie's in that chair, man. I was like, yo, are you serious right now? Like, that family just got a chance to see Jamie, and now he is captured. Margaret's freaking out with the husband. She's, trying to call him. Jamie's captured by Lena. I'm like, okay, so y'all definitely gonna put this more than likely into the following season. More than likely, we shall see. We shall see. Now, let's talk about the case. The case revolves around the Braunstein family, right? We end up meeting a man who is one of Lacey's classmates, right? He comes into M&A. He's like, listen, an entire Jewish family from my church is missing. And we're like, wait, how does entire family go missing, right? So we got Lacey's friend here from the school. He's talking to Lacey, trying to get help from M&A, and they're on the case, right? And I thought this episode was really, really dope because they tackled something we seen it earlier in the season where they tackled like the black church, right? But this time they was going to the Jewish church, which I thought was dope. Again, NBC found the one thing about them, they cover every spectrum. They cover every single person, every religion, every faith, whatever you want to call it, they will cover it, right? So an entire family is missing. I'm like, wow, that is absolutely crazy in itself, right? So Gabby, the rest of the team is on the case. I appreciate Zeke. Zeke on this episode right here. He decoded a lot of the languages, a lot of the numerical situations when it comes to this case right here. Zeke Tech was really in his bag on this episode right here. I don't think they could have solved it without him breaking the numbers down and the religions and all this stuff right here. So shout out to Zeke. He was on the job. Now we know, and not to mention this also in this episode right here, there was a lot of how should I say this right here? A little few hints of racism, right? We heard one of those guys who they thought who originally did it. He kept saying, "You're kind," right? I was like, "You're kind." Hmm. That you're kind. That's kind of up there. And there was another wordage that they said that was kind of strange. But yeah, but we do know apparently the wrong family was actually captured, right?